Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here, and it's time to review Materialists. Brother Bro hasn't seen the movie yet. I'm just trying to get the review out a little earlier, but this is the new film from Celine Song, director of Past Lives, one of the best films of its year, and one that had pretty much the best results that you can expect from a debut film. Best Picture nominee, one of the most acclaimed films of the year. And so when the marketing started ramping up for Materialists, it kind of caught me off guard, thinking that she's doing this throwback to the 2000s rom-com, like films from Nora Ephron and Nancy Meyers, but after watching the film, I think that there's a little love for those kind of movies here, but didn't feel like nostalgia bait for those kind of films. And what we got here really felt like another Celine Song movie. After watching this, I feel like I understand even more what her voice is as a director and writer. Like with Past Lives, there are no villains. All of the characters are very articulate about their emotions. They're very rational. Even when they're irrational, they understand why they're irrational, and they talk things out very directly with each other. There was maybe a scene in Past Lives that I felt leaned so heavily in this direction that it was maybe just slightly off for me, where I felt like the characters were almost too emotionally mature, perhaps beyond what I think would be realistic for characters in such a heavy emotional situation. And at the same time, I still liked that scene because her films are very sincere attempts to connect with the audience and appeal to our hearts and minds equally, and the weird disconnects between the two. This film is about a matchmaker living in New York City, played by Dakota Johnson, who is torn between her ex and the perfect man, what people in her field call a unicorn, very rich, handsome man who checks all the boxes that anyone could want to check. It has some really good satire about modern dating in New York City, and if you think it's exaggerated the way that people in this film talk about, height and weight and dating preferences and high standards, maybe you haven't lived around New York City. The movie has funny moments, but it's not as much of a com as it is a dram. The pacing here is very Celine Song. It simmers, it's calm, like a chill dream pop song. And even in loud interiors like parties and restaurants, the sound mix muffles the background and lets the characters speak in a hushed manner to each other. There's really no scene in this film that feels like you could have just ripped it from any old rom-com from any other filmmaker. Celine Song has a stamp, and the way that she directs scenes is very patient. She loves silences, long takes with both actors in the frame. Cinematography was really nice from Shebier Kirchner. The film's quite long, it's an hour and 50 minutes. It's not breezing through. It certainly doesn't feel like it's trying really hard to keep you overstimulated and entertained like some movies. So in many ways, this did live up to Past Lives for me, in that Celine Song's voice came through very strongly, but it didn't hit as hard as Past Lives, and that alone cannot possibly be a substantial criticism because that movie hit so hard. But there were some elements that I think dulled the impact here. First, I'm not sold on Chris Evans' casting here, or at least I don't feel that Celine Song found the romantic chemistry between him and Dakota Johnson, but I think is needed for us to buy that they had this great connection, because I don't think that we quite get what is drawing her to him in the first half of the movie. You're really meant to buy that the characters have this spark that defies all rationality, all box checking, but I didn't quite feel it. I just didn't. I also don't know if I buy Chris Evans as this poor, scrappy New Yorker struggling actor who's going into bodegas and up to halal carts, and he's like, "Hello, fellow working class. I would like the poor man's special, please." Pedro Pascal was good here. He felt very sincere, and there were some scenes where I was like, wow, his character is really just not gonna react or be that emotional or mad about this. He's just like that. He's just chill about it. And that is Celine Song's style, I guess. Really, for better or worse. There are so many scenes, I think, where characters are discussing the deeper layer of their attraction, their motivations for what they do in life. And I love that Celine Song's writing is always interested in prying deeper. And it's actually refreshing because in a lot of rom-coms, they just have fun, and then sometimes the characters go deeper and then one of them runs away for 20 minutes because they get upset, and you don't actually get to the meat of things. Celine Song is getting to the meat of who these characters are, their issues with themselves, and I really do admire that. But at the end of the movie, I felt that perhaps the film was a little over-explained. You have this character who's a matchmaker who believes, in love as math. That's a very kind of easy thing to debunk. It's a little obvious when those realizations come, maybe love isn't just a spreadsheet. At the end of the day, I think the message of this film resonates very clearly, but for all the pondering going on, I'm not exactly convinced that it mined anything insanely profound, but there are a lot of positive things to take away about relationships and dating and expectations, and about what love looks like. It was a really sweet movie. I thought Dakota Johnson was great. She made this character easy to root for, even though she has a lot of traits on the surface that are unlikable. I really enjoyed Materialists. I think it is a must-see movie. Even though it didn't blow me away, there was just a lot here that I like to see in my movies, that I go to my movies for. A strong vision, a unique style with dialogue and actors that can even be a bit of a weak point at times, but I think a lot of this film's flaws are also a result of its strengths and its sincerity. I continue to believe in Celine Song, and I would give this a strong 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. Who do you think would win in a fight, the Materialists or the Challengers?